Doc, a penny for Andy Farrell's thoughts on Ireland?
It's going to be such a Lions selection's fascinating now. Obviously, the public discourse after Six Nations is all going to centre around the Lions, isn't it? And he's got some massive decisions to make. Massive decisions. When you look across back rows and midfield, I think there's, devastating to see Ollie Lawrence get injured. He would have been in the mix in the midfield, no doubt. But across all positions, there's a huge amount of competition. I mean, dare I say, I'd hate to be in his shoes because some serious players going to miss out on selection for the Lions. And I guess the challenging thing for him now is like with Ireland losing and probably not winning the title, do some question marks come over some of those Irish players? You'd probably think not because they've got a lot of credit in the bank. And they've been magnificent.
Well, Josh van der Flier was an interesting one because I think at the moment he probably hasn't played as well as we know he can play. He was he's player of the season for them, he's player of the year, he's done a couple of other bits, but actually if you look at Darge for Scotland, you look at Jack Morgan for Wales, look at the Curry brothers, I thought have been brilliant. I think guys have maybe put their hand up surpassing. Now, do you take him anyway, or do you take some of these guys, as you said, credit in the bank wise? I don't know.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the question he's got to answer. I think 10 is the hardest position.
Yeah.
You look at kind of Prendergast, is it a tool too soon for him? He's young. When you look at Finn Russell, the guy starts for me, but his goal kicking percentage isn't brilliant.
No.
For Lions Test rugby, we were chatting earlier about, if you have a halfpenny at fullback who's a massive high percentage goal kicker, well then Finn Russell starts a non-starter.
Yeah.
Marcus goes, I think, because he's that sort of jiggy player. But there's not 110 in the UK and Ireland who is head and shoulders above the rest yet. I think
they're all slightly different as well. Sometimes you have the contrast between kind of the guy that would be very attacking and a more sensible approach. You knew where to pick them because Finn Russell against an Owen Farrell, for example, two very different players. George Ford, again takes a line, but it's a different player. These guys all seem to be slightly different, have slightly different sort of skill sets, different areas.
What do you boys think? Hardest positions?
Yeah, I mean,
your voice is getting slower and slower.
Yeah, they're all difficult. The 10 one's relevant at the moment because England are a little bit. England are having new 10s, having a go at it. Ireland have got a good young 10. Finn's had, like he does. He has his good moments and his bad moments, and comes under some controversy. But I just always think, like, surely if you're Andy Farrell, do you not just know before? Like, it's very stickle and short term to think of. Like, it's a 4 years between Lions tours. Like, he knows he's had the job. I'm just thinking, if I was a coach, I would have, if it's a 30-man, for instance, squad, before a Six Nations, I'd have 20 in pen already. Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? Because I've been on the side of missing out when I really thought I'd done enough and felt like I couldn't have done any more. And you see the names going, you're like, oh fuck, Murray, and I'm May. But that's like life. That's elite sport. Having that sort of an experience when you go all in and you don't get it. And I'm just sort of thinking, well, you step back, I couldn't have played any better for that time. England had a bit of a crappy Six Nations. I still played okay, but Gatson, Scott, what's his Scott man called?
Gregor. Scott man.
Gregor.
Scott man.
There's so many things that come into it. They'd work. Of course, they're going to pick and prefer people they've worked with.
The coaching setups.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also familiarity.
Familiarity. I would pick people I've worked with. Do you know what I mean? I go back to the same person. If they did a good job fixing my toilet, I go and get them to fix my toilet again.
So is it how often is your toilet broken?
It was just an analogy.
I wondered if you had a bit of a problem with your toilet.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
I think Marcus Smith, going back to the 10, has a point of difference. Like that try he scored yesterday in the first half, that acceleration to get connected from the tip. That's
when he's at his best.
Yeah, and I think whether or not he starts or he's on the bench, I think he goes and he will play a big factor.